Are you a professional who wants to learn how to help those who suffer from hair and scalp ailments? Or maybe you want to stay abreast of what's going on in the industry. On today's chat, I will be talking with one of the leading trichologists in the US, and he will be joining me to discuss an inaugural event for trichologists from all over the world. My name is Dr. Crystal Porter, and I'm a hair scientist and owner of Main Insights, a company that conducts research that focuses on the needs of people from African descent. This platform is designed to elevate the Black hair care industry and empower consumers and hair professionals with education that is driven by scientific research. As always, I appreciate you being here on the chat with me. So I'd love to see who is out there with me this morning or this afternoon. It is the morning time here in Central Standard Time. And so let me know who you are and where you're from. Also, if you are a hair practitioner, put the number 1 in the chat. If you are a consumer, put the number 2. And if you are a researcher or a scientist, such as myself, put the number 3. Also, please like and share this broadcast. If you are on YouTube, make sure you press that thumbs up button and subscribe. Now, if you are frustrated with the lack of information available to you when it comes to caring for your hair, and you've wasted a lot of money, time, and resources trying to figure things out on your own, you are definitely in the right place. And that is why we have created the Our Black Hair Matters movement. Now, I have put together a new resource or newer resource called Finding the Right Stylist. So please go to links.maininsights.com/right stylist to find it. And then speaking of right stylists, if you have a pressing concern and need to have a conversation, I have a team that is standing by, and you can schedule a 15-minute complimentary call by going to links.maininsights.com/APPT. All right. So I know that I went through everything, but for those of you who are just joining, welcome to our Black Hair Matters lunchtime chat. I am Dr. Crystal Porter, and today's topic is about the importance of community gathering in the trichology industry. Now, hair practitioners often practice cosmetology or barbering to make people look and feel their best, right? But what happens when clients that they serve start having problems with the health of their hair or their scalp? Maybe you have done some searching on your own to try to find out remedies, but there is a profession called trichology that is for practitioners who want to learn more about products, techniques, and lifestyle changes that can help those in need. And I have Dr. David Kingsley here with me today to discuss what that is. And he's going to talk about an upcoming event he's hosting called the World Congress of Trichology. So welcome, Dr. Kingsley.
Hi there. Hi, everybody. Thank you for inviting me, Dr.
Oh,
Chris.
no, it's wonderful to have you here. I want to start off by reading your bio so people can know exactly who you are. For those who don't know, I know that a lot of people do know you, but you are president of the British Science Corporation and also the president of the World Trichology Society. And you are the only trichologist in the world who is a member of the American Academy of Dermatology and the American Hair Research Society. And you qualified as a trichologist or hair loss specialist in 1980, and you obtained your doctorate through the University of Portsmouth in the UK. And you have been honored with a fellowship by your peers for your academic research and important additions to the subject of trichology. You have published many medical papers and also presented work at hair loss on your work on hair loss treatments and at medical conferences. And you have authored the award-winning book, The Hair Loss Cure: A Simple Self-Help Guide. And you have appeared on television, both in the United States and Great Britain, and you've been interviewed on the radio and numerous leading newspapers and magazines. So you are also a professor of Huntington University of Health Science. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Wow, was that me? All right.
That's
Okay,
all you. That's all
okay,
you.
thank you.
Yeah, so I want to say hello to those who have joined. We have several people who show up as Facebook user. So sorry, I can't address you by name, but we do have some consumers here. We have Fatisha McGarnett says,
Oh,
"Hi, Dr.
Felicia.
Porter,
Hi,
Dr.
Felicia.
Kingsley." You know who that is. Awesome. In Georgia. And then another Facebook user. Hello, everyone. So thank you. All right. So I gave you an introduction, but that's like more professional. Can you
Sure,
give us some insight about how you got started, what your interest was, and your path to where you are right now?
sure. Well, I started in family business in London, obviously in England, and I qualified, as you said, as a trichologist in 1980 through the Institute of Trichology, which is probably the oldest organization, trichological organization. I moved to the United States in 1982, and as a certified trichologist, I was unhappy with the way that many physicians looked at me. And what I felt I needed to do was to get better educated. So I went back to school, to college, to university to because trichology is a professional certification. I went back to get my bachelor's, master's, and then my doctorate, which took me 13 years in all. And I got my PhD actually when I was 42. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I'm so proud of everybody who is studying or who has studied to become a trichologist, because I know what it's like. You have your family life, you have your job, and yet kids or parents to look after. You got the mortgage to pay, but yet you still have to find time to do your coursework. And I just feel it. I just feel that people who do that are just need kudos and credit for doing that, because I know how difficult it is. And for anybody who's thinking of giving up, don't. I wanted to give up 100 times, but I kept going, and it's worth it in the end.
Wow. So you said something that makes me want to ask a follow-up question because
Sure.
you said you didn't like how physicians looked at you with just your trichology degree
Well,
or your certification, I should say,
yeah. Well,
trichology certification.
I mean, a lot, not so much now, but in 1980, this is over 40 years ago, trichology wasn't looked at very highly. And one of the reasons why I started the World Trichology Society was I wanted to start educating trichologists to maybe a slightly higher level, so that medics and physicians and such like will start to notice that, yes, hey, we actually are professional, and we are knowledgeable. And I wanted also for one of my visions is for a trichologist, a dermatologist office, to have a trichologist. If people go to a dermatologist with hair loss, often they actually don't even see the dermatologist, they see the PA, which is fine. But usually the PA or even the dermatologists themselves haven't had a lot of education. Obviously, they know a lot about the hair and scalp, but maybe they haven't taken all the specific courses that they need. And often that they would just suggest, minoxidil or in men Propecia or something like that. Whereas there are so many other aspects to people losing hair, reasons for it. And I just felt that maybe trichologists would be excuse me, a great fit in a dermatology office, in a hair replacement surgeon's office. And actually, this vision is starting to come to fruition because now many dermatologists and hair restoration surgeons are employing trichologists. And that is wonderful because of what we're trying to do and trying to get out there. And I know there are other trichological organizations who are trying to do the same as well.
Yeah, so I'm glad that we are moving in the right direction. But when you said in 1990, I mean, that seems a long time ago. Just
1980.
aging myself, it doesn't seem that long ago. But
I
the
was
thing,
only 6 then, you know.
but I think those problems really do continue to persist in terms of the way that some trichologists position themselves or how they market themselves, how it can rub some people in the medical profession, such as dermatologists, the wrong way. And I think that there is an image problem out there for some. And so you're right, we're moving in the right direction in some instances, but in others we're not.
Well, I think you'll always find that some people just, you know, they're set in their ways and you're not going to change them. The only way you can change people's mind is to show them how professional and knowledgeable you are.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's all that we can do. But I think a lot of scientists and, you know, dermatologists, etc., are starting actually to look a little bit differently at our industry. And don't forget, this is only the beginning. I mean, the World Congress Society started only 11 years ago. So, you know, it's only the beginning of the process. I feel that within the next 10 to 20 years, there'll be a lot more of the medical community accepting trichology. That's what I feel.
Yeah. So I'd like to take a step back because I don't think we fully explained what a trichologist is. And I think those who saw the event coming up, those who are familiar with trichology are probably the ones who are on right now. But for those who have never heard of trichology, because even though it's very familiar to both you and me, I don't think that a lot of people know. So can you
Sure.
explain exactly what it is and the importance of having trichology or expertise in trichology?
Sure. I mean, a lot of people don't know what a trichologist is, and there's no getting away from that. And that's one of the other things we're trying to do. But trichology is a specialism of hair and scalp. It actually began a couple of hundred years ago in the UK as a branch of dermatology.
Mhm.
However, it started to become more cosmetic in the 20th century. And I think it's only now in the 21st century that it's starting again to move more to the paramedical. I mean, we're not physicians, we're not medics, but we have a hair loss specialty and knowledge that complements physicians. A lot of physicians sometimes, maybe also dermatologists, think, you know, we're stepping on their toes. We're not actually. One of the things I teach my students is to work with physicians, because physicians can do an awful lot more than we can. Blood testing and such, like biopsies and things like that. But we as trichologists can sometimes be the first step to send them to a dermatologist, send them to a hair replacement, but also working with that client in lifestyle changes and things like that, which and cosmetically as well, which often a physician won't necessarily be interested in. And that's why the two go very, very well together and should go together. It's not one or the other. I think both together is much stronger.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if anyone who is joining us today has any questions. I don't want to be the only one asking questions here. This is for you and for you to get information. So if you happen to be a consumer and you are interested in finding a trichologist or have questions about how to find the right one, be sure to put your questions in the chat as well. So cool. So I want to know, so yes, we've gone in a positive direction, but there is a long way to go, I feel. And
Yes.
so are there any other futuristic ideas you have in terms of where we're going to go in the future?
Yeah, I think obviously to continue trying to improve educational standards. I mean, in the World Trichology Society, when you're certified, okay, that's great. But we also try to do postgraduate courses as well. And it's one of the fastest growing, well, um, the knowledge every month, there's always new things in the hair loss and hair
Yeah,
care industry.
absolutely.
And we need to keep up with it. I mean, I know I don't look it, but I'm 65. But it's all right. But even I, who's been in the business for over 40 years, need to keep up with the changes. And
Oh, yeah.
that is one thing. Obviously, educating the public, educating also the physicians to continue to do that. But also, I feel that the industry, that's trichology industry, is much stronger when it works together, because there are many organizations out there. People looking here may well have become certified from a different organization to the World Trichology Society, which is great. But these organizations can still be independent, but I feel should work together for the betterment of the industry and also the betterment of patients or clients. And in fact, that's one of the reasons why I did the World Congress of Trichology. I mean, it's hosted by the World Trichology Society, but I didn't call it that. I called it the World Congress of Trichology because many other trichological organizations, such as the Institute of Trichologists in London, uh, the National Trichology Institute in Georgia, Connie Judge, these type of organizations have joined with us in this Congress to bring people together, because it really needs it. That there's a lot of yeah, I mean, obviously there's competition and what have you, but as in any industry, it's great, like in the scientific industry, you all need to have a good reputation. Everybody needs a good reputation, because if somebody doesn't, then it affects everybody else.
Hmm.
And this is why I feel that having the trichological organizations come together is going to help improve trichology overall. Maybe I'm a bit naive, but it seems as though other organizations have that vision as well, which is great.
No, you are so right. It's so interesting because I think about, like, I'm a chemist by education, not necessarily what I did in industry, but I did more material science in industry, but my background is in chemistry. But as a member of the American Chemical Society, it was like chemists from everywhere, whether it be, people who came from different parts of the world, people here in the US, but there were representation from the different schools. There were representations from people, all the students. I mean, so it really was one gathering where people continued to get education and was just kept abreast of networking opportunities. I mean, so it really is a good thing to have a big function where that is inclusive, where everyone can take part.
Exactly, and this is, it. One of the things somebody said to me when I first started the World Trichology Society and started our certification course is, why would you train somebody to be in competition with you? And I said, they're not in competition. If I am helping to educate them, then it's better for me that they are well educated, they have a good reputation, therefore it makes trichology have a good reputation, therefore I have a better reputation.
Yeah, right.
So, it's something that really is important to me that people in our industry, obviously are professional, are ethical, but also very knowledgeable, because it helps me as well as it helping them, and it helps every other trichologist as well.
Mhm. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Yeah, so I want to look to make sure that there aren't any other questions we have. I don't see any questions. So, can you tell us, give us a little sneak peek about like the topics that are going to be discussed? You already name dropped some, organizations and some people, but are there like, why should someone come? I mean, what topics are going to really entice people to want to be there?
Well, what we're trying to do is to, I mean, it really it's, for trichologists, of course, student trichologists, cosmetologists, but dermatologists, there'll be dermatologists there, there'll be hair replacement surgeons there, et cetera, et cetera. But basically, what we've tried to do, because it's been a few years really since people have really been able to get together,
Right.
that is to improve people's trichological businesses, increase. We're going to be talking about different treatment choices, newer treatments that they being the trichologists, can bring into their centers to increase the amount of services that they might have, to increase, of course, the bottom line, which is, to help the patient more and to increase your income potential. So there's a lot of that self-improvement or business improvement, but there's also a lot of other factors, such as all the latest research that's important to the trichologist, how to use the Trichoscope, which is the microscope that most people have, that they do through their computer. Also about cosmetic factors, product development, things like that. Also, we are going to have some surprise things. We're also going to have a round table of the board of directors of the WTS, that we want to take any questions that anybody has about trichologies, because a lot of questions go unanswered, and we want to help people to help themselves to develop into better trichologists, and also to develop into better businesses as well. So there's a lot of talks or presentations in those areas.
Yeah, so you mentioned the trichoscope, and I want to talk about something that kind of nags at me. I have sat in so many presentations where a trichologist will be looking at someone's scalp and their hair and trying to identify what's going on with it. And I'm glad you said that you'll have some help in that area, because I know Lori Huckleby, and I wish I knew who she was trained by, but she has been trained by someone specifically to identify things underneath the microscope. And there are so many times that I've been in someone's presentation and they've been trying to identify something and they've been just plain wrong. And I have to admit that I am not the expert in microscopy at all, but I know enough to know that what I heard was incorrect. So, it needs to be more formality to it. I think people get their education and then I think they've seen enough. But I mean, it's a wide variety of different ailments. And so,
Yeah, I think it's like with any industry really. When you're certified, that's really when you begin to get your experience. A lot of it is experience. I remember when I was first certified, I thought, oh, of course I'm certified now. I know everything.
yeah.
Knew nothing. That was when you start. It's just like any other, as I said, any other industry. But one of the things we train, it's not just the microscopy. You need to be able to see somebody overall as well. So it's what I call the macro and the micro. You need to have the macro with the micro to get a much better assessment of what condition. And also, you need the World Trichology Society course is based on the consultation, and you need to be able to ask the right questions so that you get the answers that help guide you into your assessment of what a client or patient might have. And then the macro and the micro are just tools to use. But you also need to know what things are not, as well as what things are. So I train people, it might be 4 different things. It could be alopecia areata, it could be traction, it could be female pattern hair loss, or it could be scarring alopecia. Which one is it? Well, what you need to do is be like a detective. You've got to eliminate, well, it's not that. It's not that because this. It's not that because there's that there, and so on and so forth. And then you, just like a detective, you come to the correct conclusion of, what it is. But you also need to be able to look at it, the hair as a whole. Whereabouts on the scalp is it? What position is it in? When did they shampoo last? What cosmetic things have they done? What their family history is? What is their diet? What are their stress levels? Etc., etc., etc. And all together, you can put something to have a much better assessment. Trichologists, we don't diagnose. That's a medic. We assess. And the more information you have, the better your assessment will be. And that is what we train people or our students to do. So, but as I say to people, it's, you need to practice, practice, practice. And it might be better to start off with family members or friends, and then build up that practice, if you like, experience, and then you'll get better and better. I mean, even now, 4 years on, sometimes I see a condition that I'm sort of, and I need to delve into a little bit more. And I think everybody in every profession has that. And don't be frightened to not know exactly what it is on the first instant. So what you do is maybe you send them for tests, the physician, certain blood tests or whatever, and then it gives you a bigger picture for you to make your assessment. So I do understand what you're saying, but things have got to be taken as a whole and not just in a narrow way.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. And that's one of the reasons why I can appreciate what Nadia, excuse me, what Nadia Hughes has done with Trichologists on a Mission. So she put together a group of trichologists who just needed a place to network with other people. And so even though they had backgrounds of education from various different entities, she was like, hey, let's get together, let's help one another, because you're right. It is based on the experience, and other people have different experiences, and from those experiences they have different types of knowledge and insights. And so when you can collaborate together and share information to help one another, as you said earlier, it just makes the whole industry better as a result of that. So that is so true. So kudos to Nadia Hughes, and I'm hoping that other people will continue to collaborate and network. And like I said, it's Trichologists on a Mission. That is the group where they help each other and collaborate. Now, I want to ask, we've been talking about this event, but I don't even think we mentioned the date. So when is this event and how can they register?
It's the 17th to the 19th of September. So it's only 4 weeks away. And they can go to the World Trichology Society.org website, click on the Congress tab or the conference tab, and it would take them directly to the conference website. And then they click on register, and then they can register up to the 10th, about a week before, because as you know, when you've done things like this, the hotel has to know the final numbers and things like that. So you have another couple of weeks, I think, everybody, to register for it. But we're almost sold out, to be honest. We're at 180 plus people at the moment. So we've only got like 20 or 30 places left.
Wow.
And, please, if you want to attend, do it ASAP, because once we're full, we're full.
Right. So there are some other people, majority of people are still showing up as Facebook user, but I do have some people, let's see, we have a Facebook user say it's where great minds are coming together talking about your event. So that's awesome. And then someone else said, kudos to Lori Huckleby. Angela Ellington is here. Hello. Thanks for joining. Another Facebook user. Another great mind, meaning Nadia. And then Nadia is here. Good day. Yes, good day to you as well. And so we have the information about the Congress going across right now. So thank you. All right. So how can people reach you? Because you're having this Congress, but you're a professional as well. So would love to have people know where they can find you, and then any other additional information you would like people to take away from this.
Well, they can find me either from Congress at worldtrichologysociety.org or info@worldtrichologysociety.org, or if you want to come directly to me, Dr. Kingsley, one word, to worldtrichologysociety.org. I just would like trichology to continue to expand, I think, as quickly as it seems to be doing over the last 5 years or so, maybe 10 years. But I also want the education standards to be as high as possible. Unfortunately, it's not regulated, and really anybody can call themselves a trichologist. There are organizations that offer 1 to 3 day trichology courses. What I say to people is, would you want to go to see a trichologist because you have a hair problem to somebody who's only studied for 3 days? I wouldn't. So, I really want to try and educate, if you like, the student or potential student that, you need to work to become good at something, to become knowledgeable at something. And yes, it might take a bit longer, but it's worth it because you have so much more knowledge, and also you have more confidence. And one of the things that the society does is postgraduate, we give you help. It's not like, oh, you're certified, see you later. We give you help. I mean, we do have a membership, but any questions you can ask us, anything that you want to improve on or such like, we do have postgraduate courses to help improve your knowledge. So that's what I want people to do, is you haven't learned everything. Nobody knows everything. That's what Socrates said. He who knows everything knows nothing. Nobody knows everything, including myself. You need to continue to learn, and that's the important thing. Don't be frightened. Go out and learn it, and you'll feel so much better about yourself professionally.
Yeah, and I would only add that when you're going out there to learn, also know that you can rely on other people. You don't have to know every aspect of everything, which is why I harp on collaboration, because it makes no sense to me. It's a total waste of time to try to become so knowledgeable in everything, because it becomes, in my opinion, much more dilute. And if you can, focus and become an expert in your particular area, then you can rely on other people who you trust to be able to help you out in another area. So
yeah, awesome. Exactly. And as I was saying earlier, that I train the trichologist to work with other specialties. Exactly. If it's, a physician or a psychologist or nutritionist, it is very important because we don't know everything and we need these people to help. And what are we trying to do? We're trying to help the patient or the client.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So I just want to acknowledge that I see you, Vanessa. So even though you're coming up as Facebook user, thank you for identifying yourself. That's awesome. And she says, thanks to both of us. And then Jessica Davis says, greetings, everyone. Another Facebook user says, good afternoon. And then Nadia says, certified trichologists need continued support after training. Absolutely.
Agreed. And that's what we do in the society. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. All right. So thank you guys for joining. Thank you, Dr. Kingsley.
Thank
And
you.
we'll make sure that your information is, well, we already have it posted and then it's scrolling there on the screen right now if you'd like to register. But like he said, it's only like 20 to 30 slots left. So yeah. All right. So if you watched a replay, be sure to comment and ask questions because I always go back to them. And if you are one of many who needs help in finding a vetted professional, please go to links.maininsights.com and schedule a complimentary appointment and a consultation with my team. And as always, remember that our Black hair matters. And as always, take care and love your hair. Bye bye.